So this whole Two Jokers movie thing has been getting a lot of attention, specifically the one that's supposed to be produced by Martin Scorsese. Which, I mean, rightfully so. I would be pumped for a DC movie produced by one of the greatest directors of all time, but it's not really getting attention for that so much, the names attached to it. Not even the fact that they want to get Leonardo DiCaprio, of all people, to play the Joker. One of the main reasons why this movie is getting a lot of attention is because of what it is. It's a movie set outside the established continuity of the DC cinematic universe. This, combined with the news that the Flash movie is going to be an adaptation of Flashpoint, seems to signify that DC and Warner Brothers are going all in with the concept of alternate universe movies. Movies that showcase completely different versions of characters we think we already know. A Batman who's really Thomas Wayne, a Superman who grew up in Soviet Russia, a Green Lantern who's a political cartoonist who fights Tammany Hall in 1888. And that's all cool, except, and this is just me talking right now, I don't want to see that as a live action movie. I know half of you are already thumbing down this video and cursing me out in the comments and whatnot, but give me a second to let me explain. I love me some good alternate reality stories. When done right, they can offer unique and fresh takes on existing characters and make us see them in completely new lights. And for a long time, DC Comics were the king of alt reality tales. They even had a whole imprint dedicated to them called Elseworlds. Some of DC's most creative work came from this imprint, especially in the 90s. We got alternate takes of just about every character. Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, a lot of Batman to be honest. Some of them are really high concepts, like what would happen if Batman fought Jack the Ripper. Some were a little more subtle but made you think, like what would happen if the Kents got a flat tire on their way to pick up baby Kal-El. Kingdom Come, one of the greatest superhero stories of all time, is an Elseworlds tale. That just goes to show how far-reaching the idea was and just what great things could come from alternate versions of the DC universe. Hell, the Elseworlds imprint is so ubiquitous with the concept of alternate realities that people still use that term to describe alternate realities, especially when it comes to DC. So why then would I not want Warner Brothers to make Elseworlds-style DC movies? Well, let's get the obvious out of the way, and I talked about this last week, but remember, we are 4 movies into the DC cinematic universe, and only one of them was any good. So focusing on making one good movie about the characters as we know them should be priority, not making a bunch of different movies on alternate takes of these characters. But let's go a little bit deeper than that. For one thing, from a business standpoint, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Summer action movies are expensive as hell to make. The reason why most, if not all, of those movies are based on pre-existing properties is because Hollywood is hoping that the fans will go out in droves to see these movies and buy the action figures, and hopefully they'll make a return on their investment. Sometimes this works, oftentimes it doesn't. The key thing you have to remember is you have to make it at least look like you're doing it right. And presenting audiences with weird versions of established characters is a gamble, especially when you're also making movies based on the more popular version of that character. Now, I know technically that all movie adaptations of comic books are Elseworlds tales. They're more to what the director and the writer wants to do with the property rather than what's in line with the comic books, especially DC movies. But even still, the best movies are filled with all the familiar elements that make it easy for us to recognize the characters we're paying to see. If you think about it, the 2015 Fantastic Four movie really is the prototypical Elseworlds story. What if instead of a family going on wacky space adventures, the Fantastic Four was a body horror story about military experiments gone horribly wrong? I think you know how that turned out. Also too, with comics, Elseworld stories and alternate reality tales are supposed to be one-offs, nice little treats for fans and really fans only. We've had so many comics about Batman that one story about him as a vampire or a holy crusader is a nice change of pace. Meanwhile, we haven't really gotten as many Batman movies as you might think. We've had 9 in the past 28 years since Tim Burton's Batman '89. Now that may seem like a lot, but compare that to James Bond, who had 16 movies in the same time frame, or Godzilla, who had 15 movies in his first 20 years. The point is, I think it's most important for DC and Warner Brothers to focus on one and only one version of their most established characters in live action. The best and most popular versions of these characters. They can pull elements from Elseworlds Tales by all means, but they have to remember we didn't fall in love with Superman because of Superman at Earth's End. We fell in love with Superman from the various monthly comics, from the Christopher Reeve movie, from Lois and Clark, from the animated series, and so forth and so on. And for my money, that's the Superman I want to see on the big screen. But what do you guys think? Do you want to see big budget live action Elseworlds Tales, or do you want to stick to more of the classic style of the heroes you know? Let me know down below or anywhere on the internet. I have a feeling this is going to be the most disliked video I've done in a while. So just please remember, I don't hate Elseworlds or alternate reality versions. I just don't think it's a good idea for a movie. That's the bottom line. Of course, we have new videos every Tuesday and Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern is Wulff Den Live. So subscribe to make sure you catch all that. Click the bell icon to get notifications. Share this video with a friend, and thank you all for watching. I will see you next time.